Hey folks, it's the grand finale. This is session 12 out of 12 of Hearts of Wulin, Odyssey of Jade and Stars. This is a quarterly run of the Wuxia melodrama role-playing game Hearts of Wulin being hosted on the Gauntlet calendar. If you are interested in engaging in any kinds of games along these lines, or just learning more about role-playing games, especially indie ones, gauntlet-rpg.com is the place to go. So we're going to do a very quick round of character and player introductions before we get started. And I'm just going to go in the usual character keeper order, beginning with Greg.
Hello, folks. Stop chewing there for a minute and get back on camera. My name is Greg, pronouns he, him, and I am playing Yelang, or Night Wolf, who I used to be known as Wu Shan, the upright lieutenant of Blackwood Palace, but after being trapped in hell with some very powerful demons, I nearly lost my life and was resurrected by the unseen hand. So now I am a twisted and demonic version of myself who appears only in black armor with a faceless mask. And I am bent on revenge against my former Master Miao Renxing, who sent me to hell to die. Currently also sort of co-workers with Wu Qiufeng. We're both agents of the unseen hand, and in our last episode, I revealed my misgivings about our master, which of course was overheard by our master, and now I'm on the run.
Awesome. I'm gonna go next to, I'm just pulling up the character keeper right now. Jose.
Hi everybody, I'm Jose, and my pronouns are he and him. I'm playing Zhou Jiang, pronouns also he and him. What should I say about Zhou Jiang? Events last week, last episode, had Zhou Jiang finding out that a previous villain, Violet Widow, was actually his grandmother and actually had a soft spot for him. And also we found out that she was under the same curse that Jiang was, and that Jiang's curse and her curse feed off of emotion. And that if there's too much intense emotion, then supernatural bad things happen. So Jiang is processing that, and he's also very excited that his lover Song Tian is out of the mask and available for hijinks. We ended the session outside of the cave where Song Tian was sleeping, and Jiang was just standing about when out of nowhere pops Qiufeng, bloody and beaten by their interaction with Yelang, their duel with Yelang. And so there was kind of a cliffhanger ending there at the end of last episode. I'll stop.
No worries. I believe Max, you were up next.
Okay, my name is Max, they, them pronouns. I'm playing Cloud Crow, also they, them pronouns. Cloud Crow is a student formerly from the Heaven and Earth Temple. They left the temple in anger. They had been left on the temple steps as a baby, and they have since reunited with their mother, who is an ancient goddess, Chang'e, who has returned with a lesson for the world, basically, because Cloud Crow had managed to steal this elixir of immortality away from lots of greedy people who wanted it. And in their reuniting with Chang, she came back to say, hey, I stole that elixir once and basically caused the boundaries of the world, my greed caused the boundaries of the world to start dissolving. And the problems of the world are my fault for having done that. And I want to come back and make it right. And so Cloud Crow is now kind of working with her in some way to try to figure out what is the right thing to do to try to heal this rift. Meanwhile, there's lots of people who have wanted this elixir who are on the hunt for it, and Cloud Crow has it hidden off in the woods somewhere.
Awesome. And last but not least, Maria.
Hello, I will also stop chewing and turn my camera on for this. I am Maria, I use she, her pronouns, and I will be playing Qiufeng, who uses they, he pronouns. Qiufeng is, or Wu Qiufeng is the villain playbook. They were an itinerant mercenary slash assassin in their past life. Then they died because they failed to kill Miao Renxing. And they were reborn thanks to the unholy powers of the unseen hand. And they came back with a thirst for vengeance and their disapproving grandmother as a spirit. And yeah, Wu Qiufeng apparently has some thoughts about loyalty, as does my cat, to the unseen hand, because for a while they were trying to prove that they wanted to be the one to get that killing blow into Miao Renxing, and also prove to the unseen hand that they were a better minion than Yelang, who is their rival for murdering Miao Renxing. But it turns out that might not be the case, because Qiufeng did try to duel Yelang in front of their master and failed miserably and is a disappointment to all. Except maybe Jiang, maybe? I don't know.
And speaking of, I actually want to begin with that scene, just so we get some resolution there. So as I recall, Qiufeng, you just kind of, or was it you who just kind of appeared in front of Jiang, or was that Yelang?
I think I was appearing first, maybe. It was like immediately after the duel. And I had like,
Right.
My
Qiufeng
master,
knew
like,
where
made
the
it.
cave was.
yeah.
And I don't. So I'm currently off
Okay.
someplace else.
I knew
So
where the cave was because I was a creeper and stalked Jiang.
I see. And as I remember, you just kind of appeared sort of in a transmission between worlds kind of way, sort of right there in front of Zhou Jiang, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I used Yelang's very cool unseen hand bell portal opener thing.
Yes.
That I think we all carry a little bit of to get to our realm, so I can just
Yes.
go back.
Okay. So, Jiang, you've just had this conversation with Song Tian, who has said to you, oh, there was this really bizarre, strange, kind of intimidating, young man-looking fellow who came on and said these sorts of cryptic and vaguely threatening things. And then you saw him in a vision just a moment ago, and now, poof, here he is in front of you. So, Jiang, would you like to kind of kick this off here?
Sure. So I imagine it's nighttime, and John had just stepped out of the cave for a breath of fresh air, since he does not smoke cigarettes, and he and suddenly there's this strange shimmering in the air, and I imagine Qiufeng like tumbling out of it and onto the ground in front of Jiang. Qiufeng, you've got some wounds, right? There's some blood.
I'm trying to remember where Yelang did it, so it wasn't
I
like
stabbed you.
you
Yes.
stabbed
But you
me.
missed all the organs, right?
Yeah, because you're such a
Exactly.
great sword person fighter.
Yeah, so there's a big. I imagine there's like right below the ribs, like somehow
Mhm.
there's a deep wound. Missed all the organs, but there's a lot of blood,
Mhm. That's
and
very gruesome.
it's gruesome. And so Zhang is just shocked, and he kneels down next to Xu Fang. Oh, so he has actually, how much of this has he actually seen?
You saw a lot of it,
I
didn't
saw a
you?
lot
All
of
of
it
it?
actually. I saw
God.
the duel in my vision. So I actually saw this happen. So maybe I'm not that shocked. I think I'm shocked at the blood and the state of Shufang because I don't think and Shufang is looking pretty bad right now. So I think Zhang is gonna kneel by Shufang and take him in his arms and say, Shufang, you need help. You you look like you're dying. And then he takes, just a little finger pulse thing to test her pulses. And your chi is very faint. And then I think he sweeps Shufang up into his arms, and forgetting that there's all this shit that has gone down. He's just seeing his friend in distress, and brings him into the cave, uh, and quietly, so as not to wake Song Tian.
I think Feng in like the carriage is like in the carriage is Zhang's arms is like uh coughing faintly. And I think like they like try to like they put a hand to your robes and are trying to like I think they're vaguely trying to argue against going into the cave where Santian is. And they're like, Zhang, I don't have anyone else to go to. I think I don't know what place I can go that would accept me.
Shush, we just can't wake Song Tian because he may be upset, but
You shouldn't take me in there. Bad idea.
but you need to be treated for your wounds, and there is no place else for miles from here.
Can
So
you just you
shush.
can a strip of cloth from one of your sleeves would be enough to bind this and I can heal somewhere. Just
No, shush. And he just keeps going into the cave. And then he lays you down next to the fire. You're in no position to struggle, so.
Feng is like, you have to be careful around Songtian. You don't know everything about them.
I know enough, and about you too, Shufang. I know this is what's your duel with Yelang. This is what happened. This is the result of it. You both work for an infernal lord. I know this. But right now, we will sort that all out later. Right now, we just need to staunch this bleeding. So I imagine this might be a comfort or
Yeah,
comfort and support.
yeah, I'm thinking comfort and support, and on a miss, there's no question Song Tian is going to be showing up.
Yeah. How quietly can Zhang do this? So don't make any noise while I do this. He's putting pressure on your wound. All right, I have to open the.
Oh, I can put a link in the chat there. That's the
There it is.
dice
You're
roller.
not gonna sing me a special song.
Oh yes, he's singing you a special song, a healing song, that is slowing the blood flow around the wound. And there's the little pretty blue light that comes out of his hand as he does that. And you maybe cough up a little more blood while he's doing that. Oh, I have to choose an element.
We'll see how badly this goes.
Let's see how badly I roll to see how much blood you actually cough up. Wait, I have to figure out my element. I'm gonna say it's Earth, I think. Yeah. Yeah, caution, focus. Yeah, caution about not waking up Song Tian while I do this. Hold on. Too many things open. Oh, there it is. So that must be a +2. Don't wake the demon. And I have to put 2 die in. And we roll. Oh, wow. Holy shit. This isn't going to go well.
Can I?
Oh, wait. Do I have
You
any
have
way-
you have a curse clock. You have and actually looking at your sheet, that is it. You have a curse clock that you could take.
I have a curse clock.
Can I offer one of my bonds?
I think you sure can. I believe you can spend bonds on another person's behalf. Yes.
Because I have bonds with Zhou Jiang.
Yeah, if you
I have
want to give me
two
one.
bonds.
Spend them all you got them, I guess.
Here, take it.
All right, so that'll bring me to a 7.
Okay. So on a 7, you're successful, and Shufeng, you may choose to give Zhou Jiang a bond with you, or you may clear a marked element.
Look at my elements. Bonds or elements. Oh, I have 2 marked elements. I will clear an element. I will clear my water.
Yes, that's your style element.
Yeah.
Good to
Yeah, you
have
might
that
need
open.
that.
Okay. And any last exchanges between the two of you before we cut away? I'm thinking to Cloud Crow.
I think just the one thing before we cut away is that Shufeng will continue to very adamantly tell Jiang to be careful around Songchan, because I think last time they learned that Songchan is like using Zhou Jiang for something. So they're like, be careful, and then they probably pass out.
They pass out.
Hmm.
Oh,
And
that's
I-
right. Yeah, we learned that Song Tian was feeding off of Zhang's essence to try to become more human.
Yes.
Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. Not like Cloud Crow didn't warn you.
Shut up, told you so.
And one thing I think we will see in the background that will just come to your attention right as we cut away. In the background, in the night, you are going to hear the snapping of branches, the rustling of leaves, the movement of vast amounts of vegetation. And I think in the dim moonlight, we will see the spindly figures of many, many troops from Five Drop Mountain moving swiftly through the forest. Shufeng, I don't know if we established with you since you joined the quarterly, these monks have profanely prolonged their entire lives by essentially merging with plants. They are tree people, and many of them wield weapons made from their own branches that they've snapped off of themselves. And yeah, they're creepy ents basically. And there's a lot of them coming through the forest at this time. But let's go over to Cloud Crow. We last left you a couple sessions ago making a very close escape from some elite cavalry riders from Blackwood Palace. Where have you been in the meantime? And what are you doing at the time in which we find you? What do you want to do?
Well, if I recall at the time, I was wanting to go after Zhou Jiang and Song Tian. But it sounds like they managed to escape me. And so I'm going to say that I tried to go back to the cave where I had been with Chang'e, the cave that I had escaped to after leaving Hell, which I think may be where the elixir is stored. So I'm going to say that I went back there, and I have been conferring with Chang'e about what our plan is. And Yeah, so I think maybe I would like a hard frame scene around like maybe I do a study move with Chang'e or something.
What is it that you would want to find out, or what are you trying to maybe accomplish here? Alternatively, I can just say, hey, Chang'e shows up and they start some conversation, things are going to happen, we can kind of go from there if you want to maybe engage the mechanics in the course of play.
Yeah, I think that might be good actually. Like, tell me what Chang'e really, like she came to try to right the wrongs and I'm trying to help her. So it would be great if she set the stage, for what's next.
Great. So I think we find you perhaps deep in reflection, introspection, when Chang'e flitters through the entryway to yet another one of the many caverns in this forest. Chang'e is going to perch atop a rock, having to kind of flick aside a bit of water that's pooled with her feathers in order to have a nice kind of dry place to stand. But having done so, they say to you in a state of great concern, I think that there is something coming. I don't know how to describe it, but I get a sense that there is a great transmission happening. The worlds are breaking apart at the barriers, and there is a great transmission of things coming. The elixir, they have it in mind. We have to do something with it.
Well, what would you suggest?
I don't want to destroy it. It's an important item. It is one of the great treasures of the immortals. We have to we could hide it somewhere. We could perhaps try to transmit it back to the celestial realm. But we can't just get rid of it. We can't just destroy it.
Yes, that seems clear that destroying it is not the answer. It clearly has great power, which can be used for good. We've seen this. I feel that we need guidance from someone who knows.
Out of character, do you have an NPC in mind who you might consult on this matter?
Miao Renxing, just kidding.
No, ask
The
him.
last elder I consulted. I thought Chang'e was going to be the elder we consulted. But she seems just as clueless as I am. Where are the gods?
You might be able to, I mean, you might do a study move here and see if you yourself are able to intuit what an effective course of action might look like.
Okay. I guess that's a test of my study, right? All right, let me do a study move that I'm. Is it not a seek guidance move? Can I seek guidance from myself?
So seeking expert is a little tricky if you consult yourself, because on a miss, you end up secretly associated with the manifestation, or perhaps providing yourself with misleading information. I mean, it's a little tricky the way that move is worded if you're using it with yourself.
Okay, so let's just make it a plain old study move. And I will ask my internal wisdom, what is the next right step for protecting ultimately the world? protecting all the realms from breaking down and destroying each other. And what does the elixir have to do with it? What do we do with this now? You know, with that goal in mind, the goal of protecting the world.
Okay. So let's get a roll, and depending on how it goes, you may get some answers.
Hope. I'm gonna roll with, oh, my water is checked. That's just sad. I think that I will roll with wood for growth. Since I am consulting my own internal wisdom, that feels like a moment of growth. So. That's 2. Oh, that's a 4.
That would, yep. Snake Eyes, we are off to a roaring start here with this
Bye,
session.
world.
And so I think that what's going to happen is, as you are poring over the elixir, trying to make sense as to what to do, Chang'e is over here racing thoughts, almost in a state of panic, before you're able to really identify the next best course of action. You notice a sort of flame in the sky outside of your cave, and you see almost like a falling star coming down from the heavens, and then another and another, and you see these streams after streams of burning red flame coming down from the sky, and it is at this point that Chang catches their breath and says, "That must be it. They're here. We're out of time." And it is up to you where you want to go at this point before we cut over to Yelang. Or would you maybe like to think about it and we'll just cut over now?
Yeah, let me think about it and you can cut back to me later.
Okay. Yelang, what are you up to at this point? Or would you like me to hard frame something in here?
Feel free to hard frame something.
Okay, sure. So the first thing I just want to establish is you're back in the standard kind of mortal realm, you know, this forested area with the lakeside and so on and so forth. Where do you think we would find you when the same kind of lieutenant, the one who you handed that scroll to, the one that had proof that Miao Renxing had betrayed you, where do you think you would be when he stumbles in with an arrow in his side?
I was thinking that after fleeing the unseen hand, I might return to the only home I've ever known, Blackwood Palace, but of course I can't quite make myself known there, so I'm probably sort of hiding on the outskirts, maybe in like one of their secret groves in the forest.
That is perfect, because what's going to happen is within this grove, you will get there amidst the sound of combat, the sounds of soldiers shouting orders, the sounds of arrows whistling through the trees, terribly inaccurate in such dim moonlight. But there is no doubt that you have come in on the back end of what sounds to be a pretty intense combat amongst men. And coming into the forest, stumbling, clutching this arrow that's sticking out of their side, right in their ribs, you will see the form of that same sort of second in command lieutenant who replaced you, if I remember correctly, the one who you gave that scroll to. And I forget his name exactly. It was like something Shing. Hong Gongxing, that was it, yes. He is going to stumble into the grove unaccompanied by anybody. He has lost his sword and his horse. He has clearly been through quite a bit. The blood dripping down one side of his face. He's on his last limbs. And as he drags his way into the grove, I'll ask you, do you make yourself visible to him? Does he see you?
I think as soon as I see him, I'll step out and approach him.
He kind of grips the arrow, but doesn't have quite the strength to even pull it out. He just sort of drags his way across the grove and then collapses to his knees. His plates of armor, which have been largely stripped off, kind of going shunk with the heaviness of them. As he collapses to his knees, he looks up and meets your eyes. You, he says, you were right. Everything you said was true. And he is trying to summon up the words to explain what is going on. What do you do?
I was just about to ask him who had done that to him, so I think I will sort of attempt to deal with his wounds,
Sure.
Sort of, sit him down and start filling him with my chi, so that
yes.
Now that I'm all demonic.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, sure, I'll do it anyway.
Kind of a hearkening back to the good old days. Then can I have you maybe roll overcome?
Sure. Let's try it with fire. Try and be creative with this. Oh, well, there we go, 13.
All right. And so if you want, I'll say that you are able to save his life. That would not have happened on a miss. I'll leave that decision to you, but as you're attending to him, he's going to kind of sputter out through coughs and wheezes as his breathing becomes labored. My God, it hurts just to breathe. You can hear him say, everything you said was true. Miao, he sent Dongshan to die. We confronted him. A fight broke out. A rebellion has begun, you see, a rebellion. He's called upon the forces of the monks of Five Drop Mountain to quash us, but we won't allow him. We won't allow him to tarnish the name of Dongshan. We will preserve his name. And so what you're finding here is that Miao Renxing has been basically kicked out and has gone to the monks of Five Drop Mountain. There is an armed battalion of them advancing on Blackwood Palace, and there are a small number of remaining loyals who are basically uniting under the banner of For Dongshan and are going to put up the best fight they can.
Nice. What a villain. To be consorting with... He never seemed to hold a high opinion of Five Drop Mountain before, but it seems, in addition to all his other faults, he's a hypocrite. Rest here. I will see what it can do to help save Blackwood Palace.
You have to. There's not very many of us left. They outnumber us. Their branches are so fast. And then, how do you want to close the scene out?
I think just with me realizing that he's stabilized and turning and looking over towards Blackwood Palace and heading in that direction.
Excellent. Let's go back to Jiang and Qiufeng. Zhang, you kind of have the floor here. I don't know if you want to kind of skip ahead a little bit or if you want to respond immediately to the mass of warriors from Five Drop Mountain advancing through the dead of night. How do you want to play this? You've also got Qiufeng adorably resting in your arms practically. How do you want to play this?
So Qiufeng has lost consciousness, I believe, and is sleeping, a recuperative sleep, and has stopped bleeding. And Zhang hears the noises coming from outside. Takes a quick look over to Sangtian, who looks like he's still asleep, or pretending to be, and then runs to out the entrance of the cave to look out into the night to see if he can see what the noise is. And he sees shadows moving, plant-like shadows. It's almost like the forest itself is coming alive down beneath where the cave is on the side of this bluff, and it's almost and it seems like they are advancing on the cave somehow, and what is he gonna do? Because I know you're gonna ask me that. He can't take them all on by himself. Wait, is there any move I have that could help me here? Oh, well, I don't know if this is supernatural. When I see a place clearly tainted by a supernatural presence now or in the recent past, would this count? Is this a supernatural occurrence? You tell me.
I think if you'd like to count it as that, I think we can get in a use of that move here if that's something you'd like to use it on. If you're referring to your Eerie Moon and Evil Star move.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but
yeah, I mean it's basically a study move, and I
it's
think
a
that's
study move, really. Yeah, it's a study move with a little extra added push. With a study move, do I ask a specific question with a study move?
Well, with study move, you can ask a question, but there is also the reveal a detail option. So if there is something you just want to authorially insert into the fiction, you have authority to do so with the study move as well.
Right. Oh. This is a horrible idea, but I wonder if it's something that Zhang would do. Yes, is a horrible idea. I'm sure Zhang will do it. With Evil Moon, Eerie Moon, and Evil Star, I can always mark an element to have a supernatural foe engage me before other targets. So I think what Zhang is going to do is he runs back into the cave and wakens Songqian and says, "We're under attack. I will draw them off." And then he runs outside and goes like, whatever lightness across the tops of the trees, trying to draw off the attackers. And I'll mark metal. For control. And yeah, he's gonna try, and I don't know if I should make a roll for this to see if I get caught or whether they get to me, or yeah, but that's the intent.
Is your goal to dispatch a portion of them in combat, or merely to draw them away from
Draw
you?
them away from my friend and
Okay.
my lover and my maybe lover. And
Drawing them away would probably
the
be
cave.
right. In that case, I think it would be overcome.
Okay. And I need I can't use fire, which would be the speed one. I guess flexibility. I'll use water. And where is that thing? Okay, so that's an 11. So they all come running after me.
Yeah, would you like to narrate how that goes?
So I imagine that they were all kind of almost like a wave coming through the forest, a wave of foliage, and I think Zhang somehow leaps from the top of the cave. The cave's up on a bluff, leaps and is like walking lightly over the tops of their heads, the tops of the little branches, and in the opposite direction from the cave. And maybe he says something taunting, like, come and get me or something. As he runs across, I'm the one you want. And he just, there's something about his own curse around supernatural beings that he can tap into, that he's somehow glowing in a certain way that looks like catnip to anything that's supernatural. And I imagine they all turn and hesitate for one moment, and then rush off, and the wave changes direction and rushes after Zhang as he tears down the side of the mountain.
Excellent. And as you do so, I think you will, at this point, notice the same streams of fire coming down from the sky that Cloud Crow observed a moment before. We're just coming up on the top of the hour, so let's take break number 1 here. We'll take about 9 or so and come back at 5 past the top of the hour. Okay, we are back. I think I want to go over to Qiufeng now, given that you weren't really in the scene with Zhou Jiang.
Yeah.
So how do you want to start this scene off? If you don't have any ideas, I was thinking Song Tian just wakes you up and is like, what are you doing here? But how do you want to do this?
Actually, I had like an idea briefly while I'm unconscious. Like, maybe I could ask my grandmother for some advice in this like world of unconsciousness. Because I feel like I have mightily screwed up my life, my second chance at life, potentially. I don't know. And I guess I was looking at the seek expert move, but I don't think Qiufeng is aware of any supernatural anything's happening. So I don't think that really fits here.
Is there a particular move you would want to engage here?
I guess it could be a study, a type of study. If I kind of like in a dream realm or something, as I'm recovering from being stabbed, like I think the idea I have is that Qiufeng is in their mind like trying to figure out what to do next now that they have attacked someone that was an ally, tried to warn Zhou Jiang about what they think is a nefarious motive that Zhou Jiang had, or that Zhangtian has, and like I think, yeah, I don't know what mechanic there is though that would help with this. If you have any suggestions, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for guidance, I think study, I mean, that could basically be flavored as, what does she tell you that is helpful to you? It's not really you studying and uncovering the answers for yourself. It's really more her informing you, but I think that the outcome is the same. So we can still engage, I think, a study move.
Yeah, I think study would be good.
Okay. So
I was also thinking seek expert kind of works if you cast it as how do I deal with the unseen hand?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's fair too.
Yeah.
So which one would you prefer to go with?
I sort of feel like asking my grandmother any question about the unseen hand will be like, well, just stop working for them. As a response. So I think I'll do a study move and maybe leave it more broad. Yeah, so should I just roll study and we can
let's roll,
glide over,
and see how the conversation plays out based upon the outcome.
Okay, and I am rolling with what I will roll with. I love to roll with things that I have 0 in. It's fine. We're rolling with wood. It makes sense. Well, that's a 7.
Okay. So that means that you get 1 hold, and you can spend it to ask a question, or alternatively, you can reveal a detail if you'd rather go that way with it.
I think I'm going to ask a question. And I think the main thing I want to know from this conversation with Ascendant Wu is which of the many things falling apart should I prioritize? Or like, many things seem to be going on in the world, as far as I'm aware of. What should I focus my attention to? What can I fix, grandmother?
I think at that point, you'll get your answer, but maybe not quite from Ascendant Wu. The cave is going to be rocked by an explosion of splintering, burning rocks as you take a direct hit from whatever those falling stars are. You are probably thrown to one side, landing nimbly on your feet, if that is the coolest option for you.
Of course.
And in a small little crater, I think, that has formed, still smoldering, burning, steaming, what is unquestionably a soldier of demonic origin is going to uncurl themselves and begin to stand, hefting themselves up on a two-handed broadsword, almost the length of your entire body. This thing clad in infernal armor, its eyes little more than yellow burning coals. And Ascendant Wu will say, well, whatever that is.
There's just like an inner sigh as Qiufeng goes, I can always count on you for the most profound answers, grandmother. And I think Qiufeng is going to approach said unfolding demonic soldier thing and say, whatever you came here to do, I would suggest you not do it. There are many people here that are rather strong, and you are not prepared. And I may be trying to use Long Road to Gallantry.
Oh dear. Okay, I was gonna say, well, hearts and minds, he's not at all susceptible to your words, but Long Road to Gallantry could.
It might be wild, but I'm gonna try.
Well, it says that it's the
Oh no, they're not
a
a
worthy
hero
agent of a
authority.
hero authority or orthodox
Never
faction.
mind. Just kidding. We can.
I mean, they are an agent of an authority of sorts, although you don't know who. So I actually think that this can play. I haven't gotten to use this move more than once. I think we can make this work if you want to give that a go.
We're gonna try to talk our way out of fighting this thing. We are rolling with water because Qiufeng is throwing things out there to avoid handling this terrifying, well, looking thing that seems scary. It came from above. That was an 11.
So what does that get you? On a 10 plus, your words reach them. They will act to aid you right now. They may come with you, go to face their master, or flee. It doesn't specify in the move who picks. So what are you hoping happens here?
When it says go to face their master, is that they just like go to face their master alone or with me or?
Let me read it. Go to face their master. They may go to face their master. Oh, why would they go to face their master alone? I'm just gonna go talk to the boss. I mean, I feel like that would that would be bringing you along, I would think.
Yeah. I think I think this was a move of bravado on Qiufeng's part, and I think that their goal was to see if this soldier would turn around and run away, because you know, if Yelang can make people run away and cower in fear, why can't I? So I'm going to say flee. I want them to panic and rethink their actions.
Very well. And how do you, I mean, what is the thing you say or do that gets this 6.5 foot tall elite demon soldier to widen their eyes and, you know, maybe with some amount of lightness, leap backwards from the cavern and take off in a burning rush of smoke?
I think Qiufeng will I don't know the lore super well, And do we know out of character who called up these monsters? Is it
That
are
is
these
yet
the-
to be determined.
Okay. Great. I think yes, okay. I think Qiufeng will reach into their tattered robes, probably like wiping a little dribble of blood from the mouth for dramatic effect, and like pull out that little portal bell that opens the portal to the realm of the unseen hand, and kind of, I don't have the words or the satisfying like dramatic way of saying this, but like we'll sort of kind of like imply that they are a powerful member of the unseen hands, and like make a threatening gesture with this terrifying looking bell. I don't remember if it was terrifying, but sort of like intimidating looking bell.
I envisioned it as such, yeah. So that I think will cause his eyes to sort of narrow in recognition. Maybe there's some insignia or some craftsmanship, some quality to the bell that indicates its origin. And I think he realizes at that moment, oh, these people are not ones to be trifled with. And so that's when, as I said, I think he will hesitate. And then before advancing on you, sword drawn, he'll take a step back and with lightness akin to those of any Wulin in the mortal realms will leap from the cavern and disappear in a choking haze of smoke, leaving you with Song Tian. I think the smoke clears and there he is standing right there staring at you with befuddlement and fear, especially himself having seen the bell.
Where did Zhou Jiang go?
That way, he says, pointing truthfully towards the general direction that Jiang rushed into the forest.
And you let him go by himself, knowing that these things...
He told me to stay. To look after you.
And you listened to him when his life was on the line, is possibly on the line?
He can take care of himself.
Really?
I have faith in him, don't you?
I have faith in him, but even the strongest of us can meet our match if there are too many. That was a large explosion.
Well, if we need to get out there and fight for Zhang, then that's what we'll do. And Song Tian is going to look around, and he doesn't have a weapon. His father took the Hellfire Sword long ago.
Yeah. Qiufeng is like, do you have a weapon? You don't have a weapon. We'll like dig around in their robes and then take out one of the knives from the bracing knives. Take this.
He takes it from you and kind of looks at it. I mean, I guess he'll toss it a few times around his hands. Maybe there's something. We'll make do. We don't have time.
We don't have time. Let's go. And they'll like take off running.
Jumping and leaping through the trees,
Yeah.
lightness and such. Excellent. Let's go to Cloud Crow. We left with these craters and, splintering tree. I mean, at this point, I think we're starting to see impact tremors across the woods as these comets begin to fall, splintering trees, exploding into a million directions. And there are these little isolated pockets of smoke beginning to rise. One in particular is much larger than the other. And you can see off in the very faint distance that Blackwood Palace itself appears to be smoldering. What do you want to do?
Cloud Crow really has a sense that this is it, right? This is the big one. And there's no time to be wasted. And that feels clear. So there's a sense of urgency, and Cloud Crow is sort of disappointed that Chang'e is not very helpful. And so Cloud Crow, in a fit of urgency and fuck this shit, takes the elixir and leaps up and says, come on, we're going. And whether Chang'e actually follows, I don't know. But Cloud Crow leaps up out of the cave with the elixir in their hand and actually takes the lid off the elixir. And starts flying away toward where they think Zhou Jiang is. They want to be with their people. You know, if the big one's hitting, let's find the people and let's do everything we can. And so the idea behind opening the elixir is to let it drip, drip, drip out as they fly. They're feeding it back to the earth. They feel like they don't know what the right answer is, and this is the only thing that comes to them, is to actually just feed the earth with this potion and run back to their people. So should I do a roll for that?
Well, let me see here. I'm thinking that this, if you want to engage some mechanics here, this almost feels like a use found magic roll, which we have not used once in the quarterly so far, but this might be the way to go with it.
I like it. I like it. Let's do it.
And Chang'e, by the way, will follow you to the ends of the earth. They will fly along with you
Okay.
as you take off towards Jiang. But let's see
Okay.
what the elixir does, because I don't know myself.
Yeah.
So what elements do you want to roll with here?
Let's see. I'm gonna say that I should roll with fire. Creativity, speed, passion. That sounds correct, but I'm looking at Maria right now, and my fire is -1. So, does it make sense to roll with metal? Control, calculation, reflection. The urgency thing doesn't feel right fictionally. Okay.
Fire feels right. Roll with fire.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna roll with fire.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. -1. Oh. 10. Ha. Whoa.
Even with the -1. So, I'm reading the move aloud here. On a hit, it works, and you have to choose one. I don't know that all of these options necessarily apply, but I'll read over them. So you choose one. The item must be recharged to use it again. That's option 1. 2 is mark an element. While you bear the item, you can only use that element to roll to use the item. And then the 3rd is it vanishes back whence it came.
Yeah. Land of contrast is right. I might interpret that 3rd one. It goes back whence it came. I mean, I think this elixir came from the earth. And so I might interpret it as like doing exactly what I want, actually, for it to drip, drip, drip not in any one concentrated amount that anybody could grab, right? But it's just drip, drip, dripping as I fly back to the earth, and the earth like greens up and comes to life at the receipt of this elixir. And the wounds caused by all of these fire bombs heal, I will say. And there's sort of a collective, like it feels like you can feel the earth breathe a sigh of relief to receive these drops as I fly. So you feel something big shifting, right? And it's in, and as the camera follows me and follows the drip dropping, you see the earth like starting to breathe again in ways that it hasn't before. And you see the burned, charred trees and stuff actually coming back to life, and vegetation springing up around them. And the beings that had been coming after it in their greed, I will add that, you know, they were like suffused in the sort of like dead leaf matter on the ground, and that dead leaf matter actually comes to life and kind of contains all those people.
I wonder if we could.
Wow.
I wonder if we could split the difference and have it work the way you're saying, but also have the people who are looking for it not know that. And so they're still after us for it. Those people who are still after us are still after it. Because that's creating a lot of the conflict and the drama in this last scene. And maybe there's still some in the vial as it drips.
Okay.
So there's still something that they want. So you're going to have to do a lot of dripping to get the overall effect.
It seems sort of endless, like the amount that's in here, it's a little bit shocking. So, but I'm coming toward you, Zhang.
Jiang, do we want to cut over to you? And if you want, have a scene with Cloud Crow. I mean, where last we left you, you were
Sure.
really getting these tree people. They're hot on your heels, but you're drawing them away from their primary target, which Yelang knows at this point is Blackwood Palace.
Oh, I see. That's what it was. I thought it was Zhang mistook it for the cave with his friends. So good, fine. Not he makes mistakes. I think what happens is we see Zhang like running, you know, doing his little lightness thing over the tops of trees, and he's looking over his shoulder with a smile on his face because they're all running after him. And he doesn't see, like right in front of him, we see the camera sees like one of these huge fireballs come down and like nick him or you know or hit him, and he tumbles down to the ground next to where it makes an impact crater, and as he gets up shaking his head, you see one of these big, are they fiery? Is that what you said? I can't remember. I know they were big.
Yeah, they're humanoid in form. They're clad in full battle armor. They heft these great infernally, literally forged in hell broadswords. But they're essentially elite demon soldiers.
So he's just like looking up from where he is, and this thing looms really big. And then behind him, this whole wave of the tree, the 5-drop mountain tree beings are coming towards him with you know, supernatural lust in their eyes, for getting a taste of Zhang. Yeah. So I see that image, and I'm going to say that at that point, Zhang pulls out his dagger, or actually he only has one dagger because he gave one to Violet Widow. So he only has one dagger to fight with. And he calls upon the energy of, what did I call it? The cold spring. I can't remember. I had something for fighting the demon darkness. What did I call it? Yeah, the cold spring. And he's going to attempt to defend himself. Does this thing attack him?
Yeah, I would say it certainly does. Now, with something of this level, just the one elite soldier, I think this would be more of a deal with troops kind of move.
Deal with troops. Okay.
Yeah, you're at the point where you're really pretty much even scale with Song Tian's father. So one demon soldier is not going to pose a significant threat to you. Now, if you had several, that might be a dual move we'd have to play. But for just the one,
but I want to use the icy stuff too, even just for Viction, can I?
Oh, certainly. Yes, if we want, we can even make it you could even make it a duel, but you exceed their scale if you think.
Yeah, I'll do. I can whatever works. Troops is fine. So, and I don't know what's going to happen when the wave of plant creatures reaches the fire demon. I don't know what their relationship is. So I don't know. I'll wait to see what happens with that. But for the moment, he's just trying to defend himself against the demon. And I don't know if Cloud Crow wants to arrive in the midst of that, but maybe I should roll for whatever it is that I'm doing with the demon dance.
Sure. And which move will you roll for this?
So it's either a duel or a deal with troops, right?
Yes.
Let me just take a quick look.
I think it might be a duel, really, because duel with troops specifically calls for a group of foes.
Yeah, I'll have to deal with that
so,
when the plant creatures arrive.
right. So maybe this is a duel, but your scale is higher.
Okay. And I still just use my style element, right?
Yep, you sure do.
It's a 10.
Excellent. Well, you describe how you win, and I suppose you can, if you so choose, mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape.
Or let them escape. I think what happened, the demon is just like brute force kind of coming at Zhang. And so Zhang's style of fighting is kind of a more fluid, water-based style where he's kind of every time the demon comes down, he has this big sword, like that's kind of like one of those big flat ones that's almost like a cleaver, and it's on fire, and it just keeps coming down, but he keeps missing. And we see Zhang slip behind him and jump on his shoulder, on his back, and plunge his dagger, his icy dagger, right into his temple. And his whole head kind of goes freezy, kind of white, and then goes, and it explodes. And Zhang lightly falls down to the grass while the army of little plant creatures attacks. And maybe this is where Cloud Crow arrives.
That might be where Cloud Crow arrives, yes. Before, if it's okay with everyone, I kind of want to make sure we get to Yelang as well.
Yeah.
Because it's been a moment since he was in a scene. So I'm going to cut back to Yelang just quickly. I think we'll cut there right as Cloud Crow arrives. Now, Yelang, you just saved Hong Gongxin's life, I think. Or did you? What happens to him?
I think I saved his life, but now he's got demonic energies in him, which, yes, he's been saved, but that's not going to do him any favors.
So I remember you saying that you were going to stand with the loyalists or something along those lines. And so where do you run off to, or what do you do?
Well, specifically, I'm looking to find Miao Renxing and his cohorts. and I had headed off towards Blackwood Palace because I thought that's where I would find them. But I'm not sure if that's the case now with everything that's going on.
So I think we can definitely frame that. I think that what we could do, if this sounds good to you, is you make it to Blackwood Palace, not a long journey, based upon how close that grove is to the building proper. And as you arrive, you see sort of a last stand of Blackwood Palace guards standing before maybe the main front gate. And before this gate, you see a convergence of numerous elite 5-drop mountain troops, these great gnarled tree people. And standing within the center of them is none other than Miao Renxing. And his hands and arms are robed in fire. He doesn't pull this move out often, but when it does, it's bad news for whoever's on the receiving end. He is going to, without question, unless there is some intervention here, hurl what amounts to a fireball directly into that last stand of guards, blowing the entire front gate to smithereens and taking who knows how many people down with it. He says, "Stand aside, you traitors." The others call back, "You are the traitor! Dongshan for Dongshan!" And they raise their weapons and get ready to bear the brunt of whatever's coming. That's what you're going to find yourself in front of, or find in front of you when you arrive on the scene. So what do you want to do with that?
I want to poison him by a bunch of throwing knives, which we see in a flashback that I've coated them with my special anti-Miao Renxing poison. And so as he's saying that, I'm hoping he's distracted, and I will hurl a couple knives to hopefully, just don't even have to hit him directly, just nick him. It's all I need.
So this isn't necessarily a duel. You're not facing him in single combat. This would be, is there a specific move, or should we call it maybe an overcome, where we just have to get it just lined up right with your aim?
Overcome sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if you can strike your old master with
Totally using fire with this.
with demon poison.
I noticed I have the same title for an earlier roll, but with a question mark. Now I'm adding an exclamation point. A 9.
Now, you might
and
have enough bonds left over.
I was just thinking, do I still have a bond with Miao Renxing?
You've got one with Qing Shui.
That sounds like a good one to burn. Because he's about to destroy Blackwood Palace, which is her home. So yeah, I will burn my bond with Qing Shui and bump that up to a 10.
So then there are no complications to speak of. I don't want to say you just straight up kill him, but I'm curious what the effect is. I don't know that we, at least I don't remember. What happens when you nail him right with those poisoned knives that you've prepared?
Specifically, it was done to give me scale against him. So basically, he's as he's raising this fireball, all of a sudden these tiny knives flash past, and you see it just, nick his arm, but suddenly from that begins spreading this dark poison, sort of pulsing with purple energy. And he realizes that he's actually been poisoned by something that he can't just shrug off. And no doubt looks directly in my direction and sees me.
There's almost a faint moment of recognition. It's so close. It's almost spiritual. But it's just a fleeting flash of lightning across the dark sky, and then it's gone. And he stumbles, trying to catch his breath, but realizing that his lungs are starting to kind of seize up, and he can't summon up the fire in his belly to even stand. His vision begins to go blurry, and he stumbles onto maybe one knee, bracing himself maybe against one of the tree folk. And seeing this moment of weakness, I think that's when the loyalists will make their grand dramatic charge. Is there anything you want to do before we cut back to Cloud Crow and Jiang, and for all we know, maybe Qiufeng and Song Tian will show up at the same time as well?
I think I want to leave my dramatic reveal till a little later.
Okay, so Cloud Crow, do you come up and show up just as the head explosion happens? When do you pop in?
Yeah, so I think I saw the tail end of that fight, that where Zhang stabbed the icy sword right into the temple of the fiery demon, and Cloud Crow is a little Twitter-pated by seeing this this violence, right? Like, ooh, Zhang, I didn't know you had a sword like that. So Zhang is on the ground. Is that, what did you say, Zhang?
I said I alighted delicately on the ground just as the wave of the tree creatures was coming towards me.
Oh, right. So the tree creatures are coming towards you. Okay. So yeah, so I saw that happen. So I'm a little flushed with surprise and excitement and having seen that. And also relieved to see that my friend is okay, and then realizing, oh, those tree creatures are coming. And so now I know everyone's in love with John. What is going on? So I have various things at my disposal right now. I have this elixir, which is, just it keeps greening the earth, and it keeps entrapping the tree people. I know, right? Everybody wants a piece of Zhang. The world's going to hell, so want to be with the one you love, right? So we need to deal with the tree people, and so I think that maybe so I'm thinking comfort and support. I'm thinking there's some kind of battling that needs to happen here against these tree people. Thinking about the crows, like I could be enlisting some crows. And also I'm wondering about my flute. Like I'm just sort of wondering, like, what is the strategy? So I feel like as I approach, the world is kind of greening up behind me, and that's visible. And I think maybe it confuses the tree people. I think that's what I want to go for, is that it kind of does something to, maybe they know it's the elixir, and it kind of throws them off, because isn't that what they're after? Is the elixir?
No, they're after me now.
They're after you?
They thought they were after the elixir, but really no.
Well, I don't know that Cloud Crow knows this, but out of character, they are basically moving towards Blackwood Palace. They're basically serving as kind of like reinforcements or maybe a second wave in service of Miao Renxing.
Okay.
You would at least be able to intuit that's the direction they're headed.
Okay. Okay, so they're heading toward Blackwood Palace. And so is Jiang in danger from these people now?
Well, he's been outrunning them for quite some time, but hasn't actually engaged in any combat with them. They're still chasing after him if you'd like them to, Jiang.
Sure. I think I would distract them from their initial mission somehow, using the power of my curse to kind of become catnip for supernatural things.
Right.
So I would think they're still going after me for the moment, and maybe momentarily forgot their mission to Blackwood Palace. I wonder why they're going to Blackwood Palace. Well, anyways.
No, right? Why are they going to Blackwood Palace? Do they think?
But I think I am I'm in danger at the moment.
Okay, well, let's fight them. I want to fight them. Let's fight these damn tree people.
All right. These would be sort of the top soldiers in service of 5-Drop Mountain. They're these great 8-9 foot tall, spindly, seemingly brittle, and yet extremely well fortified stickmen. If you were to attempt to fight all of the ones who are advancing on Jiang's position, I would say that collectively they would be enough to be a duel. You would be at their scale, but it would be a duel.
Okay. Let's do a duel.
All right. Feel free, if you so choose, to narrate how you fight them off, and then let's get a roll, or alternatively roll first and then narrate from there.
Okay. I'll narrate first, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna say the elixir is somehow like tied to my the sash that's wrapped around my waist. The elixir is kind of tied to it. It's sort of hanging, dripping, and as these demons start approaching, I make a sound that calls some crows, and the crows come to help me. And so collectively, the crows and I start just flying at these tree creatures. And the crows are like pecking at their what might be their faces, if they had faces. And the tree people don't seem very daunted by the crows, but the greening that's happening around me is starting to pull at their feet. It's starting to immobilize their feet as they move. And so, yeah. And so then, as they get stuck, it's almost like quicksand, this greening. They get sort of stuck by the foliage, and the crows are still pecking at their eyes. And I say, when there are no more tree people to actually come after me, I spin around and pull out my flute when I have the space to do it without being attacked while I'm doing it. And as I start to play, the tree creatures start to disintegrate and return to the earth completely.
Let's see if we can get maybe a roll at that point
Yeah.
and just see how it plays out. So you're going to be rolling with your style element of wood. That's at a +2.
Wood to fight wood. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, maybe the trees just become real trees. That's a good idea. Here we go. A 9, an 8.
Okay. So you succeed, but you get to choose one. Either you win at a cost, narrate a loss, which I assume you're not doing, or deadlock, which is a tie, which I think you're not doing either, based on your description.
No, let's win with the cost.
Okay. So I think the simple one to do here is just have you mark an element. I'll let that be one of your choice. It doesn't need to be your style element.
Okay. I will mark fire. Speed and passion and creativity.
And I want to briefly cut over to Xu Feng and Song Tian. Xu Feng, you guys have been taking through the woods, and I think you're going to make it maybe to Jiang kind of right as this duel involving Cloud Crow concludes. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair.
Okay.
Show up late with the Starbucks in our hand. I feel like Chuhang has also been looking for this elixir because they wanted to win the unseen hand's favor. So I think their eyes will like lock onto the like vial or bottle of it that is hanging on to Cloud Crow. And like almost I feel like they came into this scene and the battle seems to be done, but they don't even like really check to make sure that everyone is like taken care of because they found the thing that they want, or at least what they think is the thing that they want. And they just like stop there and go, the elixir, what are you doing with it?
Oh, this whole thing?
That, yes.
I'm returning it from whence it came.
You're spilling it all over the place. Don't you know how valuable it is?
That's where it belongs. That's where it's most valuable. Your greed only destroys the place where it came from.
It's not my greed. I've been sent to fetch this for someone.
For someone else's greed.
Better. I don't know what they want it for. I don't ask questions.
Well, why not?
It's not what I'm supposed to do. Asking questions gets you in trouble when you have to do a mission. If you're busy spilling it all over the place, you won't mind if I take it from you. And I think like Shufang is just gonna like step forward and like reach for it. And maybe I should do hearts and minds or something.
That would be on the table if Cloud Crow were susceptible
Oh
to
yeah,
your
I don't
words.
know.
So I'll leave it to you to decide how you want to play this, Cloud Crow.
I don't feel susceptible to
Mhm.
Feng's words. I think that my this is like the place where there's the question, like it's not Qiufeng having the elixir that's the dangerous thing. It's the greed itself that is the dangerous thing. That's the thing that is destroying the world, right? It wasn't Chang actually having the elixir, it was her greed and her giving into it. So I sort of wonder if I actually want to try a hearts and minds on Qiufeng. Are you susceptible to Cloud Crow?
I think that seeing as you currently have the thing that I want, in a way, you have that power over me. I will be listening to what it is you have to say. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Cloud Crow, you will roll hearts and minds here. And we'll see how convincing you can be.
I'm gonna roll with wood. No, wait, yes, wood. Which is my style element. And we have a 9.
Okay. So on a 9, Qiufeng, you either do as Cloud Crow asks, which case you get to mark XP. Alternatively, both of you must mark an element. You can also, if you have a bond to avoid this, you can also spend a bond to avoid having to mark an element.
What's the thing that, like, specifically that Cloud Crow is basically asking or trying to convince Qiufeng to do?
I would like Qiufeng to completely abandon trying to possess this elixir.
Wonderful. Oh, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Qiufeng is facing pressure.
You could also roll inner conflict if you want to determine how you respond to this.
Yeah, I will roll inner conflict, because I think, like, as Cloud Crow is like doing like the counter offer, essentially, I think Qiufeng is like becoming aware that Zhou Jiang is also there, like, and there's just a lot of things on their mind, and they are very facing emotional turmoil. So I will roll with anything that but my style element, which is the one for trying to not I want to use my style element. Use earth. All right. That's an 11. Wow.
Okay. You still get to mark XP for rolling inner conflict.
All right.
And it's up to you now. What do you want to do?
I think that is a lot to ask of Qiufeng. And I think that they are going to decline to do as Cloud Crow is asking. They're still going to be seeking that vial. So I will mark an element.
And that means that Cloud Crow also must mark an element if we decline.
Mark Earth, because I'm very much obsessive right now.
And Cloud Crow, what will you mark?
Wow. I guess I'm gonna mark metal.
Okay. On that note, we are at the top of the hour, so let's take 5, make it a quick one, and come back at 7 past. So, Cloud Crow and Qiufeng, you just had this interaction. Qiufeng, you're declining. So, what does that look like on your end?
Turns out this is what happens when you play with a villain. Or if you're me, maybe. I don't know which one it is. I am sort of thinking that Qiufeng is going to try to swipe that. Yeah, grabby. Try to swipe that. Just the whatever container it's in out of Cloud Crow's reach. So this might be a PC versus PC duel. Or I don't know how we want to handle this.
That's fine with me, Cloud Crow. Is that okay with you?
I mean, sure.
Great.
So in a PC versus PC duel, Qiufeng, you get one offer. I mean, it's the same thing we did last time. You get one offer to give to Cloud Crow, and then Cloud Crow decides if they accept or not.
Oh, okay. I will offer to burn my bond to Zhou Jiang, essentially picking this chance of winning the unseen hand's favor over my love for this person, maybe. Yeah. So I don't get that extra bond anymore. Maybe can I give it? I don't know if I can transfer the bond. Can I just burn it?
You can get rid of it. You can also transfer it to another person.
Wait, so what's happening right now? So Qiufeng is offering Cloud Crow a bond?
Well, this is out of character.
Yeah.
Negotiation.
Okay.
But what happens out of character is that Qiufeng comes up with an offer, and they'll say, well, if you let me win and take the elixir, then I will do these things narratively, mechanically, etc. And at that point, they make their offer, and then you, Cloud Crow, decide yes or no.
Okay.
So right now we're just in the Qiufeng deciding what they're willing to offer, because you get one shot. You don't get to modify an offer after the fact.
Yeah, and I don't think you necessarily have to offer the bond, the mechanical thing. You can just state that you'll give up all your designs on Zhou Jiang.
Yeah, I will save that. But I mean, it feels like it goes with a mechanical, so I can also just get rid of the bond to tie them in together, make it hurt more.
Sure. Is that your final offer?
And I will also flee the scene with the elixir, if that works.
Is that your final offer?
Yes, that is my final offer.
So Cloud Crow, you basically just say yes or no to that. If you say yes, then the offer plays out and we narrate it fictionally. If you say no, then you choose whether you want to win or draw the fight between the two of you. And both of you will mark an element, which would take you up to 4.
Oh, what happens then?
Okay, well, I'm going to say no.
Okay, cool.
So both parties will mark an element, and You choose if you want to win the duel or if you would prefer that it's a draw. And really, that's just kind of a fictional thing. There's no mechanical weight to it.
I would like to win the duel against this villain.
So, Qiufeng, I'll let you start. How does the attempt begin? And then Cloud Crow will get the last word.
I think it's a very simple first attack. It's just a like stepping forward as though like we're negotiating sort of, but then it just like slides into a quick grab for the vial. I keep forgetting what sort of container it's in. Flask. Yeah, just like makes a quick grab for that. It's not even super subtle. It's purely avaricious almost.
Mhm.
And Cloud Crow, how do you finish the interaction?
Yeah, that's not subtle enough to win. I think that Cloud Crow sees this hand coming, feels the hand coming, on the wind, and their arm / wing just bats it away. It's very quick to just bat the hand away. Like, sorry, it's not going to work.
I always feel like maybe it's just enough of a strong bat that like Qiufeng is like pushed off balance a little bit and like stumbles to the side. And maybe Jiang can see all of this that's been happening too. Oh, no.
And I think it's at this point that the lot of you are going to hear a blast. I mean, there is another comet that has hit. This one struck stone or a structure of some kind, but this one sounds like it was maybe a direct hit on Blackwood Palace. And I want to cut over to Yelang here. Yelang, I think that right at the point where this final charge kind of comes and you see all of these Blackwood Palace soldiers converging on the forces of Five Drop Mountain, that's when a particularly large comet explodes into the side of Blackwood Palace. It's not demolished, but it's taken substantial damage. Probably one floor has been blown to smithereens or something to that effect. And this distracts everybody. And I think amid the commotion and the backstabs and the attacks of opportunity, Miao Renxing is going to bleary-eyed stagger in your direction, knowing that if he is going to get an opportunity to dispatch you, it's pretty much now. And so the lot of you are probably surrounded by this whirling duel of tens and tens of forces on either side, cinematically kind of fighting around you, but nobody actually attacks you. The sky has lit up into this red haze from the fire and smoke that is appearing around you. In the background, you might see the distant forms of demonic soldiers advancing on all of you. We kind of have the battle of three armies about to commence. What do you want to do here as Miao Renxing staggers toward you?
Well, since things are so chaotic now, I don't think I'm called on to roll inner conflict so much anymore, because I was fearing revealing myself to the folks of Blackwood Palace, but now with just chaos reigning, I'm focused very much on killing Miao Renxing. And also revealing myself so that he knows who's doing it.
So is this where you use that move?
Yes, I will use my reveal my baleful visit, Emperor of the Underworld move. There we go.
All right. So what are you gonna roll with there?
What do we got? Oh, let's try with Earth for presence. Of course. Ended up with a 4.
Okay. So let's see here. On a miss, the gathering, as it were, turns on you. So do you want to narrate that, or would you like me to?
I think you ought to.
So you're gonna, two things I think might happen. One is you're gonna reveal that baleful visage. And number one, I think that the people around you are going to just kind of stop, like almost mid-swing. And there is this cry that goes out, some arising out of the woody throats of the 5-drop mountain soldiers, some out of your own men who you have led and maybe even fought alongside in ages long past. But now you're at a point where they're going to turn and identify you, maybe mistakenly, as a demon. There are demons all over the place. They're converging. People are starting to notice, wait a minute, these guys aren't on our side. And they might think that you're the first among them. So
I'm a demon who's even taken Wudong Shan's form.
yeah, I think that's it. That's going to be what happens. I think they will identify you as an imposter, some shapeshifter who is trying to play a psychological trick on them. And I think that they will take up blades against you. Maybe a couple of them are the people who were riding alongside Hong Gongxing before. So they will advance on you. At the same time, you are going to see another figure emerging from that comet that exploded onto the roof of Blackwood Palace. Emerging from the smoldering smoke and flame, standing atop Blackwood Palace, almost as if surveying a domain. None other than Song Tian's father.
Yep. Say called it.
Sword in hand, making the most of the opportunity to take Blackwood Palace, and by extension, most of this realm of China, for himself. He smiles, and you just know he's thanking you for weakening Miao Renxing. So we're going to go back to Jiang, Cloud Crow, and Qiufeng, etc. Looking at the time, I want to see if we can get you guys over to Blackwood Palace. So how do you want to do that? Jiang, I'll ask you first. I think Song Tian might even say something like, wait a minute, I think I know what's going on here. You know, something along those lines to give this inkling that, wait a minute, this is my dad.
That's daddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Zhang, the demon whose head he froze and exploded, dropped his big ass horrible sword, flaming sword. Zhang grabs it up and tosses it to Song Tian and says, "Let's go put an end to your father." and 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 I think he calls to the other two. What does he say? He says, "Stop the bickering, you two." And come on, we have to save Blackwood Palace from Song Tian's father. He's going to try to take over this realm. It's now or never.
I think Song Tian, holding the sword in his hand, just freezes for a second. And it's clear he's not sure he has it in him to take up arms against his own father, no matter what he's done. He is hesitating.
I think it's gonna, like, at the explosion from Blackwood Palace, like, turned their head towards it, and I think after Zhou Jiang gives his speech, and like, now that Song Tian has the big sword, he doesn't need my knife. I want my knife back, so I'm gonna go over and, like, I don't know where it is, but try, like, take it back from Song Tian essentially. And I think as I'm taking it back, hiss something in Song Tian's ear to the, like, tune up that sounds a bit like, if you actually love Zhou Jiang, you cannot hesitate to use that sword.
Is that a hearts and mind?
I'd say let's make it a hearts and minds, and
Okay.
we'll see if you can convince Song Tian to travel willingly with you. And
All right.
then I want to cut back to Yelang and get everyone together here for the last 15 or so minutes.
Well, that could, instead of, are you, like, tied to being hearts and minds, or could I use Long Road to Gallantry here?
I think Long Road to Gallantry works just fine as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll use Long Road to Gallantry since I get to actually use the move I have. Oh no, what do I have to use though?
Yeah, we're running low on elements.
Well, let's use wisdom for once, being like, well, I can use Song Tian's love, or whatever it is they call it, to help the person I'm actually in love with.
Okay, rolling at a +2.
That's a 12.
Song Tian looks down at this sword, and you can see he's almost making this reflection on his heritage and everything he comes from, and you know he's at an inflection point. This is a choice he's making. You know, I mean, he's rolling inner conflict out the wazoo himself, but he will, at your urgings, nod and take a breath. Let's go, he says. And Yelang, you have a choice to make yourself as your own old friends converge on you, surrounded by these gnarled, woody perversions of men in the form of the monks of Five Drop Mountain. If you want to take a shot at Miao Renxing, you would have to deal with troops or take some other kind of evasive move in order to get at him. So how do you want to do that?
Well, first I think I need to roll inner conflict. Because, you know, mowing down even yet more of my former subordinates might kind of provoke that. So let's see. Non-style elements.
Oh boy.
Let's go with wood. I think the patience, forcing myself not to just immediately leap through them all.
That is a +2.
An 11.
Okay. For what it's worth, you get to mark XP for having rolled inner conflict, but you hold steady. What do you want to do?
I think I definitely will deal with troops, but do it in a way so that I don't have to murder them all.
Very good. So we're going to be rolling with your style element. That is fire at a +2 to deal with troops.
An 8. We'll leave it there.
That's perfectly fine. So narrate how you defeat them.
Oops. Where are we? Just looking at the deal with troops. So I just defeat them.
Yep.
I think actually I will focus on the monks of Five Drop Mountain and just kind of tear them into shreds as I move through them. And actually, as I cut them apart into these, bundles of sticks, I will take those and cast them at the underlings of Blackwood Palace to drive them off without killing them. Throw them in such a manner that they're, imbue them with my chi so that they, knock them back, but not having to use my sword to cut through them.
And that will get you within arm's range of Miao Renxing. Now, Jiang, Cloudcrow, and Qiufeng, you guys, I think, are going to pop in right about at this point. You see before you a small army of demons, the same elite soldiers that you had just faced back in the deeper part of the woods. You also see none other than Song Tian's father standing like king of a domain atop the burning ruins of Blackwood Palace. A fight amongst these tree men, the remnants of Blackwood Palace's guard, and, well, I wonder, does anyone here recognize Yelang? I don't know that anyone was present when he revealed his baleful visage the first time around.
I'm still wearing the same armor, so.
Okay. It's Yelang, but something's wrong. And that's putting it lightly.
Do you look at all recognizably like Wu Dongshan?
If you were in range to see me, yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to go kind of one by one here, starting with Cloudcrow. What do you want to do? I just want to get a sense as to what everyone's actions are as we get this wrapped up.
Well, I am seeing Song Tian's father kind of behind all the troops. And I'm aware that what he wants is hanging from my sash. And so feeling a little anxious. And that sort of, despite the temptation being to start battling all these troops, there's this other story happening. And so, yeah, I'm thinking about like, how am I going to evade? Yeah, how am I going to evade the capture of the elixir, but also the trying to tame the greed, right? Which seems to be my charge, right? Is to try to tame this greed. And I think, yeah, I think that this might actually be the time to actually empty the elixir fully. Yeah, I think that that's actually the only answer, right, to what to do with this elixir, is to just completely give it back to the earth. It's already done so much work on its way to where we are now, right? It's done so much. I think it's time to actually pour every last drop out. Yes, a libation. That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
So yes, I'm guessing I roll.
Yes, I want to get the roll in a minute though, but I just want to get everyone kind of declaring what they're doing. So you're going to completely upend what's left of the elixir,
Yeah.
right in front of the guy who wants it more than anything. Xu Feng, how about you?
Did you say what the status of Miao Renxing was in the scene that we come upon?
He has been poisoned by
Okay.
Yelang's little bitty blades.
Yes,
So
yes.
he's weakened. His
Okay.
scale is a little bit more even with Yelang at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that the two of them are kind of getting to a place where within a matter of seconds, a full-on duel is likely to break out.
Okay. I think Chu Feng is I think I feel like they're probably gonna they're probably going to roll in a conflict here. Because once again, Cloud Crow is doing something to the elixir, and on the other hand, though, Yelang is gonna go murder Miao Renxing, and I kind of wanted to get my blade in first, and so I am torn between which way of regaining the Unseen Hand's favor am I going to pursue?
Okay. I actually do want to get that inner conflict roll, so then
All
I know
right.
what your action is going to be.
Yeah.
So let's see. What do you want to roll with? I think you're down to
I
all
have
of. You have one option, I think.
Option.
It
Yes.
has to be
and
wood
that
at a
is
0.
wood. Yeah. All right. That's a 4. So
You get to you get an advance, if I understand this correctly. You get to mark 2 XP. So you get that. Hurrah. And then things are going to get a lot worse for you.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you on that.
Sounds good.
Jiang, what are you doing here? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Zhang is going to play the hero and go straight for Daddykins. And so I imagine across, because there's all this chaos going on in front of him, in front of Blackwood Palace, and Blackwood Palace burning in the background, and this big demon with this flaming sword in the back. And I imagine Zhang sending out that silver tether that he has that just crosses the entire battlefield and wraps around one of the wrists of Daddy, who has a name now, right?
Yeah, I gave him a I gave him a name. I just went with Six Finger Lament.
Six Finger
Yes.
Lament. Yeah, and so it's a great name. Yeah, and yeah, and then is gonna ride it in by contracting it and just fly across the entire battlefield above the battlefield towards Demon Daddy. Six Finger Lament.
Okay. So let's start kind of in okay, sort of one by one here. Cloud Crow, let's have you roll use found magic once more, just to see how this goes.
I am rolling with wood since that is all the magic left to me. Let's see. Nine.
Okay. So on a mixed success like that, unless you would like to spend your final bond to bump that to a 10.
Yeah, let's spend that final bond to bump it to a 10. Let's resolve this drama.
Okay.
Yes.
So narrate what that looks like.
I'm narrating it.
If you'd like, yeah. I mean, what is the intended effect of emptying the vial?
So, I think that what happens is Cloud Crow sees a Six Finger Lament across the field, and Six Finger Lament sees Cloud Crow, and he knows that Cloud Crow is who he's after. And so Cloud Crow reaches her hand to their side, grabs the vial, and then a crow comes and actually takes the vial from Cloud Crow's hand and flies across the field. And as this it flies across the field, the elixir drops its last few drops down onto this battlefield. The trees become trees. The fire demons stop flaming. And I'm not sure what the reaction of Six Finger Lament is going to be, but I kind of imagine it something a little bit like, I'm melting. If that reference means anything. So yeah, that is what I imagine happening.
Jiang, is that okay with you, or did you want to engage in a duel of sorts?
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, I think he just gets really mad. I don't think it kills him that you've spilled the elixir. That doesn't make much sense.
No.
But I think he just gets furious. And here I am hurtling towards him.
I can certainly
rock.
say, I think that we can at least give you some mechanical benefit and say that that counts as a successful support for Jiang.
Oh, great.
So we can say that that'll at least get you +1 forward to this duel. But first, Xu Feng, I'm going to hold that hard move in reserve for a moment. What do you want to do?
I think after that hesitation and then I think Qiufeng is going to join or like go towards the area where Yelang is, and see if they can get themselves involved in this duel somehow. And it's probably like a jump in that direction.
Sure. I don't think that I don't think that calls for a roll here. I think that if you want to just kind of be there You
Yeah.
can. However, this does bring us to the culmination of a very long-standing feud between the two of you. Yelang, Qiufeng, you've got your mark right there in front of you. Yelang, I think you notice Qiufeng swooping in. How do you want to react?
I think after my revelations to them last time, I had revealed that I'm not necessarily all that unhappy if they were to kill Miao Renxing. I'm just very focused on him dying right now. So while there may be a bit of one-upsmanship, I'm not going to oppose Qiufeng.
I was just gonna say, is it kind of like it's like instead of juggling two things, there's like three things being juggled, like the way that Qiufeng flows into the duel between the two of you, maybe.
So who's going to make this duel roll against Miao Renxing?
Since you were there,
Should we both do it and see what happens?
What if you do like a duel roll and I can like maybe do an overcome to see if I'm the one to do the final, like to one up you or something like that?
Sure, if you're willing to let me take the brunt of Miao Renxing's wrath.
I mean, you were there first. You were fighting first. You did all the hard work poisoning them and luring them to your scale. So if you want that, I think it makes sense for you to roll the duel first. Unless you want me to be the one that like dies because I don't know what my scale is. That not dies. I think it's probably better for you to do it.
I think it does make sense for me to do the duel as long as, like I said, Qiufeng's willing to, let me do most of the taking out of Miao Renxing and hoping to just slip in with the killing blow.
I'm not a particularly great person, I think I've learned.
So then, Yelang, I think, are you rolling the duel move then?
Yes.
Okay. Rolling at a +2, I believe. And he is at your scale.
An 8.
Okay. That means you may tie, lose, or win, but at a cost.
Oh yeah, winning at a cost, certainly. Well, perhaps the cost is that I'm not the one who ends up killing him. Well, and maybe some other cost as well.
So,
so I definitely think win at a cost, and maybe let's do a separate roll for Qiufeng to see how they do on their quest to strike the actual killing blow.
okay. So is this a duel for Qiufeng then? Or is this an overcome?
I think it just an overcome would work because it's just me trying to do something under pressure.
Okay.
If that works for you.
Sure. So,
All right.
Qiufeng, let's see how this goes. What do you want to roll with?
I will roll with my style a little bit because I am still fighting, I guess.
Water at a +2.
Well, that's a 14.
Okay. So narrate how you get things set up to do Miao Renxing in, but then I'm gonna add something.
Great. Wonderful. I think that since my style element is water, and I think the way that Wu Qiufeng fights is pretty fluid, like ducking under Yelang's attacks, kind of bending around the fight of the two of them, trying to be just like the fluid around them. I think I basically wait for a moment where they are very locked in combat, and I just take advantage of like this very tight close quarters that they're at, and just like flow around and stab Miao Renxing in the back.
Yes. And here's where the hard move comes into play, though. Right as we have the reel back to stab him clean through the back, as you bring your body back in a preparation to plunge forward, you're going to pull back and feel the thinnest blade imaginable just slip between your ribs, and you hear a voice in your ear. Weak as usual. Again, you have chosen to side with the traitor Yelang. I will take him. It is the voice of the unseen hand, and you have a choice here. Either the unseen hand will dispatch Miao Renxing, and neither of you will kill him. It will be the unseen hand who does it, and it will be humiliating for you. Or you will have to fight off the unseen hand, who is well above your scale, but it will open the opportunity to defeat Miao Renxing and preserve your dignity if you do. So what do you want to do?
More humiliation or certain defeat? I think that it's the heat of the battle, and I think that I will choose to fight the unseen hand.
All right. You are going to duel, and your scale is below your foes. However, on a hit, you declare how you lose, and that might narratively include finishing off Miao Renxing. On a miss, uh-oh.
That's fine. It's great. It's wonderful.
So
do you want me to do that roll now?
let's go ahead and get that roll. Well, actually, I like the cliffhanger. Let's go to Jiang.
Yeah.
Jiang, you've got a duel finally once and for all against
Daddy.
I was gonna say, does Six Finger Lament mean anything to anyone? No, he's Daddy Song. So describe, if you would, how this fight goes before you make your roll, or alternatively roll first and then narrate the result.
So the first part I see is so we left Zhang flying across the battlefield in this big arc as he shrinks the silver tether, and then I see him landing right at the feet of Daddy Song, and looking up at him, and Daddy Song towers over Zhang, and Zhang says, "You shouldn't have come into my world." And I assume why don't I roll, and then we can narrate the next part. Unless you've got a quip or something.
No,
you
that
wanna
sounds.
say.
He'll make some comment about how you you're even weaker than my son. Something along those lines.
All right. So I roll. It's a duel, so I roll with my
Yep.
style element.
And you got the additional plus
Oh, wow.
1 from Cloud Crow. So literally only a Snake Eyes is going to be a miss at this point. You're rolling with a +4. I have seen this happen though. I've seen duels lost on a +4 because Snake Eyes was rolled.
All right. Let's see what happens. Ooh, it was a 5, but I will definitely bump. I mean, it's a 9, but I'll definitely bump it up to a 10 with my little curse clock.
You've got the curse
which
clock.
always comes in handy. So, Zhang, I think. So the outcome is just basically I win, or is there something else to it?
You win and may narrate how that goes.
Okay.
You may mark XP if you choose to show mercy or let them escape.
Okay.
And you can also declare a shift in the fiction if you so choose. That's the examples given are a change of heart, someone gets really impressed and entanglements gets shifted. I mean, I think that we'll be declaring lots of shifts in the fiction when we do epilogues in a minute though. So if you'd like, just narrate how you win the duel.
So I think Daddy Song comes down again with this massive, it was the Hellfire Sword, I think that's what it's called. And so Jiang is just trying to avoid. All Jiang has is like this one dagger. He doesn't have both of his daggers anymore. He just has one dagger. So he is dancing a lot to avoid that. But as he's dancing, it's almost like a white mist is like growing around him, an icy mist. And as he's dancing around Daddy Song, the mist is kind of slowly putting out the fire that engulfs Daddy Song Tian. And he's slowing down. Daddy Song Tian is slowing down further and further as the mist grows. It's coming off of Song Tian of Zhou Jiang, and he's I guess he's the opposite of melting. He's freezing. And then and I guess Jiang will taunt him a bit. You're slowing down. Feeling cold, Hellfire Demon? And then ultimately, I think it's a leap straight forward onto his chest and a stab into the heart. That's the way it has got to go. And even as he does that, Daddy Song tries to like crush Jiang in his arms, but his arms, just as they're coming in, just completely freeze. And Jiang like squirms out a little bit and jumps down, and Daddy Song kind of breaks apart into pieces of ice and falls to pieces like Humpty Dumpty. I think that's what happened.
Awesome. I think we have one roll left in the form of Xu Feng. You're going to try to fight off an unbeatable foe.
Yep.
I will just say one detail here.
Mm-hmm.
As you turn to face him down, knowing that almost certain death lies before you, I think for the first time you will hear words of encouragement from your grandmother.
Oh, that's fun. That hurts a little. All right. That's with my style element, right?
It sure is.
Yep. All right, here we go. So that's a 6. Do I have my one bond left?
I think you have one last bond
do.
with Zhou Jiang.
We're burning that bond to make this a 7.
All right. So that being the case, you may narrate and declare what happens from here. All you have to do is mark an element of your choice. You could mark Ascendant Wu, given that option, and you may also mark your wounded box, of course. but
Oh,
I'll let you narrate this moment, and then I think we'll cut to epilogues because we're running up on time
yeah.
here.
I think, yeah, I think that Qiufeng's like attention slips from where they've been trying to deal the final blow on Renxing, and they swirl around to face their master, who still maybe appears to them a bit shadowy. Mostly, it's hard to tell exactly the shape of the unseen hand, because even out here in like one-on-one combat, I think maybe they're so fast, they're so strong, and possibly have some sort of cloaking magic that they've done, so that to Qiufeng, who is trying their very best to fight with the same fluidity that they previously had, it's hard to trap smoke in water. And so I think what happens is that Qiufeng thinks that they have like, it's desperate. It's not pretty. They will just launch themselves at the unseen hand, at their hand, in an attempt to like slice it off, and possibly find themselves instead being choked by the unseen hand. And dragged off into the shadows to have an unresolved fate, possibly. Yeah, if that works for that narration.
Sure. And so I think we kind of get maybe one last shot of each person. Yelang, well, it occurs to me actually both Yelang and Qiufeng, who's going to get Miao Renxing here? Yelang, is it you?
I certainly like that idea.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds good.
Do you want to
As-
narrate
Makes
that?
sense.
I think as Qiufeng's attention is taken up with the unseen hand, I suddenly realized that now is my chance to finish off Miao Renxing, and instead of all the sort of demonic swordplay and whatnot that you've seen from me before, I actually do the Blackwood Palace thing and summon my vines again, but this time they're black and dripping with, you know, demonic poisons. And Miao Renxing recognizes definitely that it's me, but the vines close around his neck and tighten. And we see his eyes go wide and then close. He falls to the side, and I just turn away.
Awesome. I know we are kind of right at the top of the hour, so I understand if anyone needs to jump out here, but if people can stick around, I'd like to hear some quick epilogues as we just get a sense as to what happens to everyone following this final battle. So if anyone wants to volunteer, that's fine, but otherwise, oh, Jiang.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Let's see. I think the camera opens and you're in it's a very darkened room, and you see Jiang is in profile. You see him on a bed laying down, and he's shirtless. And his hair is kind of all over the place. But he's sleeping, and he has this like lovely beatific smile on his face. And then as you see that shot, you see rise from behind him Song Tian, also shirtless, and Song Tian like really like delicately moves the hair from Jiang's face with love, with obvious love. And then he leans in and kisses Jiang. And as he kisses Jiang, you see that he's like sucking the energy, his chi out, his essence from him, and then suddenly his Song Tian's head gets pulled back, and you see Violet Widow behind him with and she says, now, let's not be naughty. And that's where we leave it.
Round of applause. Any other folks want to go next? Otherwise, I was just going to go in like character keeper order or something like that.
I've got an idea.
Okay. Yeah.
We see Yelang sitting in kind of a small chamber somewhere within kind of, almost cave-like, buried somewhere in the earth. But then as the camera pulls back, we see approaching him one of the monks of Five Drop Mountain. And he approaches, and I say, something like, I know that before you listened to Miao Renxing, but you listen to me now. Keep me safe and hidden, and I will lead you to new greatness you've never dreamed of. And we see more of them file in as they start lining up sort of in front of me as it's clear that now I'm wielding influence over them.
All right.
I can go.
Okay.
So you see Cloud Crow hanging out near the water, sitting calmly near it's like the river from the town. And as Cloud Crow's sitting there, just like enjoying the water, a crow flies up and it has something in its mouth. And the crow lands near Cloud Crow's feet, and the crow is sort of eating at this animal that's clearly dead. And eventually the crow kind of moves away a little bit, and Cloud Crow says, "Are you done?" The crow kind of keeps moving away and then flies off. Cloud Crow pulls out their flute and starts to play. And pretty soon, that little dead rodent starts to move, comes back to life. And the flute glows a little green. And then the camera flows down the river.
Awesome. Xu Feng, I know we said it was kind of who knows what's going to happen, but any epilogue on your end?
Yeah, I guess I did think of one. I think uh the camera like zooms past the like magma and volcanic crystals that we saw outside of um the realm of the unseen hand, and I think we like find ourselves in the main hall. There's like one very large shadowy throne, and I think we see a, just a shot of Feng kind of kneeling in a sort of like the sort of pose meant for punishment before the throne. All that we see of the figure is a hand, and it is holding, I think, some sort of, I think there's smoke emanating from the hand, and we can sort of see in it like a vision that is showing Feng like the lives of the people that they knew on Earth, kind of showing the scenes from of Yelang, of Cloud Crow, and also just of Zhou Jiang and Song Tian. And I think we get a sense that for however long Feng has been punished, the unseen hand has been showing him like all of the things that he is missing back with, that he is missing because of the disloyalty that he showed. And we just like probably like zoom out and fade away on like the back of Feng's bowed head watching the scenes unfold.
All right. And that's all she wrote. So on those notes, we will close out the quarterly with that, and I will stop the recording here. If people need to run, that's totally okay. But otherwise, I'll be curious to hear about any feedback, impressions, those kinds of things after I close the recording. But anyway, thanks for playing, everyone. And if anyone is watching, thank you for watching. Take care.